Hello, friends. All of us have an aim in life. If you're a college student, you have assignments you need to complete. If your exams are approaching, you will promise yourself that you'll do your best to prepare for the exams, so that you can top the exam. If you are looking for a job, you want to prepare for the job. Why don't you do it? We're waiting for you to do it. It takes no time for us to decide what we want to achieve, but then we don't really do what we ought to. There's an inherent feeling that tells you that you can do it tomorrow. And that it's okay if you relax for a while on Instagram, scroll through the web, or watch comedy videos on YouTube. While we put off things for tomorrow, we end up wasting time today. And tomorrow never arrives. There's an English word for it. Why do humans procrastinate? In today's video, let's try to understand it from a scientific perspective, the psychology behind procrastination, and find the real solution to it. Today, we'll talk about laziness. I've always been lazy, my parents are trying to change me, but they're also lazy. Such people have too strong desire to rest. Nothing will happen in the end. You will fail in your comfort zone. Tomorrow I'll be doing what I was supposed to do 2 days ago. What goes on in the heads of procrastinators, why we are the way we are. A University of Toronto Egyptologist translated this, "Friend, stop putting off work and allow us to go home in good time." About 600 years after this, in 800 BC, an ancient Greek poet had said something similar. In India, centuries ago, Sant Kabir had famously said, "You'd recall this. Work today instead of putting it off for tomorrow, work now, instead of putting it off for later. If a catastrophe strikes now, when will you prepare for it?" He clearly tells you not to put off work for tomorrow, not even for later in the day, or else, if everything will end in a moment, you won't be able to finish what you had set out to do. This has been reiterated by many poets and motivational speakers in history. But we have gotten worse. According to Dr. Steele, in the last 40 years, there has been a 300% to 400% growth in chronic procrastination. Today, half the population in the world procrastinates. They procrastinate frequently. But why do we do so? We need to dig deeper. Think about the things you procrastinate doing. When you have to prepare for an exam or for a job interview, you procrastinate. But have you ever procrastinated while scrolling on Instagram? Or while watching a comedy video on YouTube? No. We procrastinate if it is an office project. Or for exercising. Or if it is something emotional, we'll procrastinate. When I need to say something important, when I have to keep a promise, when I have to reach out to someone, when I have to reconnect with someone, I am always late. Basically, we procrastinate when it is something important. Something that requires a lot of effort. Physical, mental, or emotional effort. We replace that task with something that is easier and more interesting for us. Such as browsing on social media. Or watching a film. Here, deadlines play an important role. If there is a deadline for our task, wherein we need to finish it before the deadline, we procrastinate until we reach the deadline. Suppose we have to make a presentation and submit it tomorrow, even this morning, you'll feel like procrastinating and scrolling through Instagram. Only for 5 minutes before you begin the project. And we're very familiar with how the 5 minutes turn into 1 hour without us finding out. I have talked about this in detail in the video on social media. These websites have been designed in a way that even if you spend a little time on them, it sucks you in, and this little time turns into a long time. But even if you start working 1 hour later, you'll be hungry and start raiding your fridge, so that you can get the energy to study. But after eating, you would want to set the mood to be productive. To do so, you will start watching comedy videos on YouTube. Another hour wasted in it, and you start feeling tired, so you think that it's better to take a shower, get freshen up before starting work. Hours pass by and day turns into night, and then an alarm goes off in your mind. You are left with 12 hours only, you need to finish it somehow. When it is time to sleep, you start making the presentation, you stay awake the whole night and work on it till the last minute. The infinite crisis. Several studies have been conducted on college students, such as the study by Ellis and Naus in 1977, or by O'Brien in 2002. According to these, approximately 80% to 90% of college students procrastinate. But in college at least, we're given a deadline so that somehow or the other we complete our work by the end moment. But what happens when there are no deadlines? Friends, in such cases, the procrastination may continue infinitely. There is no end to procrastination. Wasting time in college meant that you don't get good marks, or you may not get a good job. These aren't crucial. But procrastinating later in life would mean that your life may be full of regrets. If you start eating healthy and start exercising, within a few months or years, you can lose weight once again. But if you continue procrastinating for years, one day it will come as a shock that you have diabetes, or you'd be told that you need to put in a stent in your heart. Some people don't even get this chance. They get sudden heart strokes and lose their lives. Apart from this, the consequences of procrastinating on emotional stuff are severe. You might dream of taking your grandparents on an aeroplane one day, but that day may not come. If you keep procrastinating about this, one day you will find out that they passed away. As a result, you'll be left with heavy regret. Disappointment over these. It is not only about lifetime regret, it brings in stress, anxiety, and depression as well. The thing you want to do, and the thing you are doing. If there's a huge gap between the two, there will be a mental conflict within you. This can be termed cognitive dissonance. In a study conducted in a German university on more than 1,000 people, it was found that due to procrastination, there are high levels of stress, depression, anxiety, fatigue. It impacts everything. Let's take another example. What do you think our politicians need the most? Power. Every one of them wants to rule. This shows their strong desire for power. If they are given a task related to that need, they will rush to complete the task. Their motivation will be through the roof. But on the other hand, if they are tasked with working for the people, since they do not have a strong need for that, they will procrastinate on that task. Similarly, you have to figure out your dominant need. Your psychological needs. If you have a strong need for power, you will want to succeed at your job. In such cases, if you are given a task to get a job promotion, you will have the highest level of motivation to do that task. Understand your needs and look at your tasks from that perspective. Another example is if you have a strong need for affiliation, it means that you respect building connections with people. For maintaining relationships with people, their respect and their approval are of higher priority. Then you'll excel at the tasks related to teamwork. The third theory is the cumulative prospect theory. Importance of loss aversion. This was coined in 1992 by Amos Tversky and Daniel Kahneman. This theory talks of mainly two things. First is loss aversion. It means that if at the same magnitude, you will face a profit or a loss, it would be significant for you, and you derive motivation from it. Loss of a particular magnitude weighs more heavily than a gain of the same magnitude. The example of exercising that I cited a while back. If I tell you to exercise, so that you are fit and build muscles, the motivation you get from this will only be a little. But if I tell you to exercise, because your test results reveal that you will soon become diabetic, and if the doctor says that if you don't exercise, you might suffer a heart attack within the next year, and that by exercising you can prevent this from happening, your motivation will be much higher than in the last example. What is the solution to procrastination? How do we stop procrastination? The solution to it can be found in these theories. The new theories that are seen as a counter are not against the previous theories. The actual reason behind procrastination can be any of these. Sometimes it is low expectations, or the needs not matching, or even the fear of failure. Friends, the thing is that once you understand these causes, and you use it to identify the reason you procrastinate, the reason why you put off working on things you shouldn't, then you can curate a solution for yourself. First of all, empty your thoughts, and take a pen and paper. And ask yourself, why are you procrastinating? Only when you write down the cause, you will be able to find the solution to it. Identifying the problem is half the solution. If you are procrastinating at work, thinking that your task is insignificant, and your lack of motivation, then recall loss aversion. Remind yourself that not doing the task may lead to you being fired. And then think about the consequences of being jobless. If you lack motivation because even after studying hard, you know that you cannot get to the top ranks, then go do something where you are confident that you can perform well in that field of study or something that you like a lot and where you can get good results. If you are preparing for a major exam, and the reward seems very far-fetched, or if you'll get the reward only after 2 years, then you need to divide the process into smaller steps. After each step, give yourself a small reward, so that you can get some instant gratification. If you are scared about taking an important decision, if you are afraid of failing, remember that not trying is worse than failing. We are scared of failure, because we have so much ego. If we are absorbed with what others say about us, if we keep building our life based on the expectations of other people, we will regret it later. I had talked about regrets earlier in this video, about the regrets people have to deal with later in their lives. Remember, you too might have to face those. In 1995, Gilovich and Medvec came up with the temporal theory of regret. According to this theory, actions may produce greater regret in the short term, but inaction will generate more regret in the long run. If you do something now, you may end up doing something that you will regret in the short term, but not doing something will give you more regret in the long term. If you quit your job and follow your dream, and then fail, you will regret it less than if you had never left your job, and had never tried. An amazing book related to this that I'd like to recommend The Heart to Start. It is an interesting book to stop procrastination. Social media, your phone, this is the last thing I am talking about, because if the other reasons and obstacles to motivation I told you about is clear to you, you will hardly if ever, be distracted by the distractions. But if you are still distracted by things like social media, you should watch this video again. If you like this video, please subscribe our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon. Thank you to give me your valuable time.